All right, it is currently 7:29 in the morning. As you already saw, as I documented just the other day, 6:55 in the morning is where I started capturing pictures of the light source and the engineered light. Now, there's already a record showing the different patterns of engineered light that the entity maintains inside of my apartment, which included not only, as you've seen it up on the wall, going along this living room wall. This was, again, a modification of what the entity was doing while stalking with engineered light, because that's what this is. And the entity is also documented engaging in engineered light that stretched into the depths of the hallway, stretched onto the floor and the depths of the hallway, stretched into the bedroom. Remember, this is February, March, April, what the entity was doing with engineered light. None of this is sunlight. And so there's an ongoing record of showing what is stalking with engineered light, the evidence of what is federal group stalking and monitoring by the people who are demon possessed. This is relevant to what is a sex offense inside of the private space, what is also then occurring as I go down to stairs to the office, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. This is workplace terrorism, harassment, and sexual violence. And none of this is naturally occurring. It's, again, 7:30 in the morning. I took a picture already of what was the light source that is in the corner, right? In the corner, right? It's rapid movement. I took a picture. The light source was over here, illuminated behind the clouds. Here, the light source is still in position here. This is nothing. This isn't even the natural environment. You're learning about the demonic. This is entirely satanic. None of this is the natural environment. It's not sunlight, nor is this the sun. None of it, in other words, is the natural environment. And you're mindful about what the entity's been doing. So while I'm staying inside of my apartment and the entity is engaged in 24-hour surveillance, group stalking, keeping me under surveillance on the venue of the internet as well, which is all fully documented, which is the state's pattern of conduct, also serving for what is the prosecution for an entire state, okay? Because none of it is occurring in conformity to what would be happening in Ontario, California, or in Fontana, California, all right, or in San Bernardino, California, if it was the natural environment, that is. It's also out of conformity with what's going to be captured if it was a natural environment, as I'm not inside of my apartment, as I am in my leasing office at building 1810, where, by the way, at my leasing office, I'm not going to be pointing my phone in this direction in order to capture it in alignment with my living room window, or to capture it in this direction in order to capture it in alignment with my bedroom window. The entity is going to maintain the light source in perfect alignment, as you've already seen, as it's staying directly over my head to the left of my person, of the left side, if you will, of building 1810. That's facing the hillside, which is not in this direction. Building 1806, which is where I'm inside of right now, is behind the leasing office, meaning when I'm down there toward the leasing office, I'm not going to be turning in this direction in order to get this light source, because this light source, which is not the sun, is going to be just where you've seen it. Right over here where the laundry room is, where the leasing office, where building 1810 is, and that's where the entity is also stalking, maintaining presence, in other words, wherever it is that I go. And because I'm over there, that's where the light source is going to be concentrated. And it's nowhere in Ontario, California, which is where the light source is rising over me at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, where the entity is maintaining a light source. Remember, on June 16, 2022, the entity engages in a kidnapping. So I am subject today, the 17th, the 18th, the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd. The entity is engaging in a kidnapping, and I'm documenting that. I'm documenting those that are exercising fictitious authority while practicing law. That attorney whose name I documented, he's going to federal prison. The entity is engaging in what is the pattern of conduct with the so-called patients inside of the facility where the entity was kidnapping me, and they were group stalking, just like you see the demons that live at Alvarado Gardens pacing all around, doing so under a light source and an engineered light. Stalking in planes and helicopters in the specific environment. That's what they're doing. That's where they're concentrating the pattern of conduct inside of a facility where this entity engaged in kidnapping, and then the demons that are calling themselves medical professionals and those that are supposedly patients. All of them are group stalking together, and this entity engaged in acts of violence, poisoning my person while seeking to keep me kidnapped. There are a lot of people going to federal prison for that. That still remains on the record, including my departure from that, where I had to literally present my own oral arguments while this entity engaged in abuse of the Welfare and Institutions Code. Again, there are additional areas of law that will be adjusted based on what the state of California is engaging in and how it engages in the system. And so you're talking about what is absolute distrust, and the government, this state government, has no basis whereby to in any way exercise the authority that it exercises now, because the federal government is aware of the abuse of the particular areas of law, which again my documentation exposes. But I remain kidnapped, and the entity is maintaining a light source in Los Angeles. It's nowhere going to be outside of the doors or seen through the window of the facility where on the day of release from this facility where I remain kidnapped, which I've already used comparing it to my bedroom window. There's no sun that's going to be rising like you see now. and then setting in alignment to my bedroom window, which is already the pattern of conduct. So in 2022, where this entity is currently engaging in a kidnapping, and those that are engaging in what is the federal group stalking and monitoring while I remain kidnapped inside of a facility, abusing areas of law in order to keep me kidnapped inside of that facility, and doing so, which is a matter of documentation, engaged in acts of violence to do so. I mean, all outside of the bounds of the lawful operation of the Welfare and Institutions Code, because this entity was so desperate, engaging in criminal defamation to keep me kidnapped inside of that facility. And they were doing it in the specific environment where there is no sun while it's remaining over my apartment now. And then it's going to be remaining over me at my leasing office, which you've already seen. You already know what the P.O.C is in the workplace. Okay, this is how you get the fake sun over me while LAPD is stalking in a helicopter, while the people of the state, Heather Teal, who provided a written document, which is why she's going to federal prison. Okay, let me be clear. 7:35 in the morning. Let's count the hours. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's 9 hours from now, where Heather Teal is on a communication device engaged in what is federal stalking violation of Title 18, acting in concert with the state, LAPD, demons flying over my head at that workplace, while the light source, which is not the sun, is over my head at the same property, just down the sidewalk right here at the same property. It's over my head at 4:12 p.m. She's going to federal prison for that. This is already on the record, and this is what I mean while the entity is walking around with a leaf blower, Carla Lopez, and the entity is stalking in helicopters while I'm inside of my bedroom. The record already exists whereby the sun is never going to be over this same apartment complex like it is at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, where that demon is group stalking in concert with his supervisor, Maria Solis Alvarez, exercising fictitious authority, all of them group stalking together with the people of the state that live here, with the people of the state that come onto the ground, such as Spectrum, Charter Communications, under a light source, which is not the sun. 10 hours from now, over the same property, and the entity is stalking, flying over the property in helicopter, which is the pattern of conduct. This is already on the record. You already know this. You've already seen it. This is what the entity is doing now in 2022, where I'm kidnapped inside of the facility, Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. And you have a lot of people that are going to federal prison. Okay, there is no shared natural environment with what's going on in Colton, California, and where I remain in Los Angeles, California. You have what is the entity that is a terrorist, the entity that engages in criminal defamation to silence you, acts of obstruction of justice, the entity, as you see, threatening your welfare, your ability to maintain employment, while it is indeed engaging in what is group stalking you. All of these are grounds upon which, independent grounds upon which the people of the state, because the federal government, the government itself, the state of California, let me be clear, Dominic Choi, the Ontario Police Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department, the federal government is under no circumstances confused about how the government is going to be treated. This is understanding how the population, the people of the state, are indeed the terrorists that the government utilizes, relies upon, speaks through, while it is engaging in what is federal group stalking and monitoring. And that's why you have a population that will be placed in federal prison. Whether it's Phil and Kev, they will find themselves in federal prison, all the ways in which the entity seeks to engage in terrorizing American citizens and then seeks to obstruct justice. All right, so this is remembering 7:37 in the morning. There's no sun, like you saw yesterday, that's going to still be over my head at what is 3.5 hours from now, where it's right here over the windowsill. Remember that video I captured at 10:29 in the morning? By the way, it's not going to be here. It's going to be over the leasing office over my head at 10:29, which is distinct, but it's also not the natural environment because the sun is, first of all, not even going to be here while it's remaining over the Ovid Family Community Library at the same time, and the Rancho Cucamonga Superior Court at the same time. But in addition to that, you're talking about what's distinct from even being visible over my living room window. If it's over the living room window, it's not going to be seen over my head at my leasing office, which is facing in this direction as I look directly up in the sky, and it's right over the top of my head. I cannot see what's outside of my living room window right here from my leasing office. In addition to that, what's the entity doing while they're stalking me as a population, keeping the fake sun over me? The light source is over my front door as I stand outside of my front door right here still. That is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 6 hours from now. Yeah, that's what's on the record. 6 hours from now, the entity is surrounded with evidence suggesting the impossible, that the sun is going to be over me at the same apartment, literally, over the top of my head. No, that's not going to be the case, because at the same time, when I'm at my leasing office, it's going to be over my head over there, which is distinct from being over the top of my head at the same apartment building where the sun is rising. And it's only rising here because I'm not sleeping inside of the leasing office, because it would be in alignment to that leasing office window, which is not the same pattern. It's the same pattern. It's not the same location. location. The light source would be in that direction. If that was the sun that's not engaging in what is following, maintaining alignment, that's what group stalking is, maintaining alignment with sources of light while demons are group stalking you. That's the entity's pattern of conduct. And this is the grounds upon which you have speaker companies, the corporate office, which represent the people of the state, are going to federal prison. The same entity that's engaged in this act of obstruction of justice, speaker companies, the people of the state, engaged in kidnapping, which is what's happening right now in 2022. I remain kidnapped by this same entity that is stalking. Do you understand the level of malice? The justice that is required is extraordinarily calling for federal prison, period. Nothing less than that. All right, it is currently 7:39 a.m. This is the entity engaging what is a sex offense. Not only is this not sunlight, this isn't even the sun. This is an entirely demonic environment, speaking to the obsession of a government and a people. And for that obsession, for criminal surveillance in the United States, where there is a constitution outlawing the ability to do so, and there is no lawful basis to engage in surveillance of a criminal nature with the people of the state, which is what is group stalking, while a population practices demonic activity. This is speaking to what is the prosecution of the people of the state that are going to federal prison, everybody that lives at this property, everybody that lives all around the property. They're all called the people of the state. They're all covered in the engineered light that follows me everywhere. While the light source remains over me, they're all following me everywhere, including by living at the address where they remain. Very easily identifiable regarding what is their identification, the people of the state, and they're going to be prosecuted as the terrorists that they are. Okay, it is currently 7:40 a.m. while an entire population keeps me under surveillance, while they listen to me disrobe, while they are keeping me under surveillance, monitoring me while I am not only physically nude, but washing my body. You have what is violence, sexual violence by a population who should have no interest in that. Who should, and that should be the part of group stalking. If you weren't a sex offender, then you wouldn't be consumed with such things. But let me be clear, the demon possessed are very, very engaged in what is a disconcerted level of concern with when you're physically nude, when you're physically indisposed, when you're engaged in private activity, even that of a sexual nature with another, necessarily a third party, because you're not engaging in sexual activity with one whom you are aware is keeping you under surveillance with the state. And that's also the grounds upon which the state of California is going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. Okay? Creating what is analogous to pornography outside of your knowledge and consent. And this is the sick mind state of those that are living around you, remaining around you, coming onto grounds. Let me be clear, the demon possessed that are bearing logos such as Amazon Prime are engaging in that sexual violence, unbeknownst to you. Okay, that is the sex offender. And these are those that are in custody of minor children. These are those that are group stalking in custody of minor children. And doing so, monitoring you inside of a private space and during such private events and circumstances in the engineered light. Okay, it is currently 7:42 a.m. This is the absence of any sun over the Ovid Family Community Library. The video that I captured at 7:38 in the morning, I believe it's June 12, 2022. There's no sun over the Ovid Family, over the, well, that's true, the Ovid Family, but I mean specifically the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. That's the video that I captured. It's hovering right over my head. You can see the engineered light reaching underneath the side of that Ontario Library at 225 South Euclid Avenue. This is speaking to what the state of California is doing, and this is how you have what is connecting what is the entirety of that system. And there is, by the way, no sun that's going to be over the California DMV in Glendale. Okay, because we can even isolate it to LA, but there's no isolation because it's the entire state of California's criminal system. That's how you have the impossible that the light source, not the sun, is over me at the California DMV, which no one has forgotten what was documented on June 5th. It's only Satan that forgets and is stalking on a day-by-day basis. That's the nature of stalking. You're following the leader. I'm the leader. And the leader is leading the population, the state of California, into a federal prosecution. It is currently 7:43 a.m. and this is P.O.C.